It's this warm room, absolutely boiling. I know, and here we go again. So why is he sweating? I don't realise how hot it is in here.
New season though, and you're a minute early.
Starters, I definitely don't mean to go on. Impossible, I'll be on time every week.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview this weekend's game against Brighton and Hove Albion. We'll start with a question from Vinny at Sky Sports News.
Sure, we know there's plenty still to be sorted out around the club. At the same time, it feels like there's a more positive atmosphere about the place. How does it feel to you?
You get the sense of, I think, after last season, the challenges, a positive finish to the season and a more positive feel, a bit more calmness, I suppose, not just positivity, but a bit more calmness, maybe a bit more reality of the truth of what the situation is. It takes a dampening down of, such a passionate fan base at times just to, speak the truth and let them align with that. And I think there's a mixture of circumstances. But I do agree, I think, generally being up and around the people here, my pre-season games, we tried to keep them local so lots of fans could join in. And I think there is certainly a better feel and a more positive feel, generally speaking.
Has recruitment helped that as well? Because the fans' view is that in terms of the recruitment, it's worked to a better model than we've seen over a number of years at the football club.
Well, I mean, some of it has been a have-to situation. We've tried to be open with that in my time here so far, and trying to get players in who do fit the club, of course, and can grow into the club. And I think we've worked hard collectively, but particularly Kevin, the team of scouts, to try and line the right players. The only sort of balance to that is that the players we've brought in haven't got much Premier League experience, and it's a very tough league, as you know. So it's how quickly they can affect the group, but also affect it not just pre-season, of course, when you go into the real stuff, and that's yet to be seen. But I think we've adapted the best we can to the challenge of the football club financially.
How ready do you feel they are, though, to impact the Premier League?
Yeah, we'll see. There's never a pure guarantee, but the way they've gone in pre-season, the way we've looked at them, the way they've conducted themselves through the fitness programme and worked hard to get to where it needs to be, then I've been pleased with that.
The fact, though, that off the pitch, another takeover has fallen through. How is the ownership situation beginning to impact you now?
No, I don't think. I think we've tried to see through all of that, since I've been here. It's difficult at times, especially when I first got here, because it was a constant. It has been a constant theme, more or less. And, I think we've tried to stay focused on the real job from our point of view, which is to get the pitch right, We can't do everything, and we certainly can't affect the business model of the club in that respect of someone buying it. So we'll just have to wait and see.
You be given any guidance as to how, when a resolution could be found?
Nope. Just fingers crossed that it gets found.
Well, does that create uncertainty for you, though?
No, not so. Well, it's been here ever since I got here. So, it hasn't really changed. The narrative, that side of it hasn't changed much. It just goes higher volume, as you know, or lower volume, depending usually on results and the bigger picture of the club. It's one of I can't control, or I always believe in controlling the controllables, and that's not one. I can't decide whether the club gets sold or who buys it. So we're just got to wait and, wait for that period when it happens, or if it doesn't happen, then keep working hard.
I just wonder as well whether it impacts a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We know he's into the final year of his contract as well. Are attempts still being made to get him to commit beyond next summer, or do you just have to pass?
Yeah, we've spoken openly, or I certainly have, about, constantly trying to be open with the players. Kev more so than me with their advisors often and agents. And we still try and do that. So, Dom's in the picture. He's worked very hard in pre-season. I think he's looked sharp in pre-season. So we just want him to take that onto the pitch.
Just if a decent offer came in for him, though, obviously it makes business sense to let him
go.
But
that would
take
be
it as a contingency.
Well, that would be the challenge for the club to decide what level any player, not just Dom. You saw with Amadou leaving us, there was a level where they think, right, that's it, it's got to be done. And that's the current situation at the club. So it's not just about the players mentioned, it's about any player.
Does that mean, though, that you're confident that the group of players, the first team group that you have now, you will still have here at Christmas?
No, not necessarily. It means that I'm confident that the club are going to do the best they can to make sure we're competitive, but equally the club's got an outside picture, which is quite obvious, and that's not something that I can control. They do need to balance the finances better. We've done a lot of work with that since I've been here, and Kev obviously included in that. On the playing side of things, to bring money in and lower the wage bill, and we've done a pretty fair job, I would say, of that. But the bigger picture of the club is dependent on what money is needed at any given time.
Goodison's last season, does that bring added pressure, or is it purely a privilege?
Yeah, it doesn't bring pressure to me because pressure's constant here since I've been here. It's just the way it is. So I think it brings a I think there'll be a good feeling about the place because, I've only been here sort of, 18, 19 months. I don't know the depth of families who've had season tickets for years and years and years, and the stories, and you yourself, I know, if you've been with your kids and stuff like that, and grandkids and all them kind of stories that are this history, and they sort of build in this feel of a football club. So I'm too new to know about that, but I've learned pretty quickly what it means to people. But equally, the demand for a new stadium, and I think everyone appreciates that. So yes, the old will go and the new will come in. But I think most people deep down, as much as they love Goodison for all their memories, will say it's about time, it's needed. So I think it's a step forward.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Family Productions next, please.
Hi, Sean.
It's boiling. My goodness me. Do they ever get a temperature right in it? Oh my goodness. I always think people must watch and go, God, he looks nervous, he's sweating. They don't realise how hot it is, isn't it? My goodness.
First Premier League game, obviously, of this season at the weekend for your first ever Premier League game for the man in the opposition, dugouts, Hertzler. You have so much experience managing at the level. He's just starting out at 31 years old. What advice or what would you tell him to expect from this league?
I won't tell him anything before we play him. No, it's a challenging league. I think, excuse me, from a lot of foreign managers that have come into the league, who I've got to know over the years, have all said that. The first thing that hits them is the different demand of the league, and everyone challenged. In this division, it's not just the sort of superpower clubs currently. It's everyone is a challenge. There's no easy ride in the Premier League. So I think that one seems to be the feedback I've had from many managers down the years. He'll learn, I'm sure. He's obviously got to where he's got to for a good reason, at a young age. So he's obviously highly thought of. But yeah, it'll be every day's a learning curve anyway in football, in any walk of life, but particularly in football and particularly in the Premier League. So see how he fares. But like I say, I'll not be telling too much until we play him.
You couldn't separate the two sides across your two games last season. What do you expect to see from Brighton under their new management?
Well, I'm sure he's trying to bring his version of what he wants to do. They still look to me like they're passing, playing, maybe pressing a bit quicker, maybe a bit quicker tempo to their passing and playing. But he's just looking to get his variation of football, and one that he'll know deep down that you've got to win. You've got to win enough to make sure that people take strength in what you do.
Starting off where you finished obviously so well at the end of last season, how easy has it been to keep that positive momentum going through pre-season?
Yeah, it's different because you have a closed season period and then players come back in, fitness challenges. We've had a few injuries, which have been unfortunate, still have, from the last season and going through this pre-season. But I think the as we spoke about, the new signings have adjusted that feel as well. It's a different kind of signings, different kind of players, which we thought was important for that diversity of the team and how we want to play. I think there's a newness to it, which does bring a different feeling. But we can't rely on last season, although it was a very strong finish. We have to build into the new season, which we'll be looking to do.
Speaking of those fitness issues, have you got an update on Jab Branthwaite and where he is?
Yeah, they're a little bit behind us, Seamus as well. Jimmy Garner was unfortunate, not too serious, but should be joining pretty soon. Pat was making good progress. Missing one, there's another one in there somewhere. But yeah, so they're making good progress, but they're not yet there yet.
Thank you, Alan. We'll go to Julia, BBC Radio News.
Excuse me.
You ended last season 5 wins at Goodison in a row and didn't concede in those 5 games either. I'm just thinking as well, with the emotion, as you've said, at Goodison, I know the 1878s have got a lot of plans as well. Do you see home form being a key, or are you just slightly worried there could be some distractions with, the Goodison feeling around?
Well, I don't think there'll be distractions. You want your home form to be strong. But, I think we've spoken about it before. When I got here, everyone said their away form needs changing. So we did change that. And then they said the home form needs changing. You go, well, that's the challenge. It's hard to change both every season. If we all did that, we'd all be mega successful. But I think it's fair to say, with your home crowd and your home support, you want to give them good value in what the team does. And, of course, that always starts with winning. If you can win in the right way and in a way that is even more pleasing for the fans, then that's even better. But we definitely want it to be the fortress that it is, certainly by voice. We haven't always made it through results. We did at the end of last season, but certainly with the voice of the fans and the way they back the team and the club. So we definitely want that feeling, and we've got to reward that.
Dominic got 7 Premier League goals last season, Beto 3. I know you'll want those numbers higher. Is there anything you've done this summer to try and change things or work on getting those numbers higher?
I think the players have worked hard, and I think they've played their part in that. I think the basic fitness levels keeping Dom out there for a long period of pre-season. You know, people wouldn't always know, but he's not had true pre-seasons for a long time, whereas this one he has, that being fit and all the way through and doing all the work. So we hope that pays him back and us back. Beto's new to it from last season, come back fit this pre-season and needs to understand that that's part of the game, which I'm sure he's learned from last season and was fed back to him.
Dele Alli's been training with you. Does he have a future at Everton, and does he have to prove something to you?
We'll see. I mean, for me, it's always just speaking about him getting fit. You know, that's the first thing, getting truly fit. He's in and around it. So we'll wait and say, that was the one Youssef. So he had a minor operation, but that's going to be weeks rather than days. But he's in good shape. I know I'd forgotten one.
There's so many of them. Given it's been a calmer, as you've said, a calmer summer, a calmer feeling around the club right now, do you feel as a manager you've maybe learned something from the last 12 months and everything that happened that you couldn't have predicted? Do you feel you're going into this as a different manager with a new skill set?
I think you just learn that never think it's truly calm. There's always another wave or a storm coming around the corner. That's what it seems like. It's not literal, and I don't always see, people sort of have this imaginary view that I see everything, and I see everything before it happens. I don't. That often the big stuff is way above me. I sometimes get a late shout on it, but not like weeks in advance. So I think you just got to be ready at this club. You've got to be ready for what comes next. And I've tried to be as adaptable and flexible as I can with each challenge that's come our way. Not just me, but the whole group and the club. Tried to stay connected. I think that's the key through all the challenges.
Thank you, Julia. We'll go to Shamoon at BBC Online next.
Did it take him by surprise, do you think, that it was going to be hard?
I expected this.
Been there 19 months.
Do you need a towel?
No, I'm all right. Cold shower, that's what I need.
The years of experience that you've had playing and managing, is there still that excitement at the start of a new season?
Yeah, I think there is. I think what you learn about pre-season over the years and the more experience you get is they're not always how you imagine them to when the real stuff starts. Good pre-season, awkward pre-season, indifferent, all the rest of it is when the real whistle blows. You often, that's when it comes together, and that's the challenge. So, I've learned enough to not think of it either way than other than be open-minded. So we'll see how we go. But I think we've had a good pre-season and in the sense of moulding the players as quickly as possible and the new players into the group. We'll see how effective that is.
Some mixed results in pre-season. Are the group where you feel you want them to be at this time?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not with the injuries. We were hoping that everyone would be. There was a couple who we thought Pato was a bit longer term, but certainly the others we thought would be fit for the season. They're not. So that's unfortunate. But the rest of the group, yes, I think fitness is good, and I think the level of performance, the level of detail through the pre-season has been good.
On the Brighton manager, were you surprised they went for someone so inexperienced? Is it a brave move from them?
No, I mean, I think that, football's changing all the time, and viewpoints are changing all the time. And certainly, I don't know whether this is factually right, but in the German leagues, it seems there's a lot more younger managers around. I'm not sure that's an absolute fact, but it seems they're certainly promoting younger coaches to be managers. I think that's changed as well, that tag of head coach rather than manager. A lot of clubs now across Europe that I know, not all, but are having that idea where it's a coach and not a manager. They've got other people who manage things and then they want a coach. So that's changed the model maybe and the viewpoint of, how it was always like a manager would oversee, not literally everything, but lots of things. Coach maybe just oversees the team. So I think that's changing the view as well of football and of various football clubs and how they view it. So, but you still got to earn the right. You still got to be good enough. And he's obviously shown that he's good enough to get the challenge of being in the Premier League.
Do you think that's something English football can learn from them, giving younger managers an opportunity?
I don't think it's about learning from anyone else. I think it's about just any requirements that an owner usually wants, an owner or their team around them, the football director, the chief exec. All different clubs have different models and ways of working. So I don't think it's learning from anyone in particular. I think it's just whoever's the ownership at that time will have their belief in the right thing for a company, like any company. It's not just football industry. I do little bits with other companies, and it's not just about age. It's about quality. It's about the way that you can take any situation forwards. And I think some football clubs are open to younger managers, some are not, some want experience, and also tailoring it to the job in hand. And Brighton obviously feel they've got a person they want in place for the job in hand that they've got and the model they want to work to.
Yeah, it looks like Calvin Phillips is off to Ipswich. He's a player that the club looked at Can you say why?
Did we?
Yeah.
It's funny that is another one we've looked at, including them £40 million out of forwards. I don't know where that keeps coming from. Like, I wish.
Are you able to say why it didn't happen? Or,
Well, no, there's no reason to, because he's not my player.
and are you still looking to do more business with the remainder of the
I think it's unlikely. You know, I'm aware of the financial situation, so I think it's unlikely, but you never know. Sometimes things change quickly, so we'll have to wait and see.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shamoon. We'll go to Cal at the Press Association next.
Hi, Sean. Michael Keane was probably the other one on the list.
Oh, yes. Short term, so he's trained this week.
Okay, so potential for Saturday.
Yeah, he's trained fine today, no reaction, hopefully. So, yeah, he'd certainly be in the thinking of the group who are fit. Yeah, he was the one. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. I'll not use the word targets, but what are your expectations for the season?
Well, I think because of the bigger picture of the club, I think it's year on year, that certainly under my watch, is to move forwards, you know, and be better than the previous season. And of course, there's a strange view, which people often talk about, rightly so, because of the adjustment of the points last season. But the points, the performances, the growth in the team, and the development of individuals, because that's important now, you know, for the club. It was once quite clearly a buying club, and now it's not. So therefore, it's development and winning and bringing it all together in a package that can suit the club and be successful, which is a hard task, of course. So from my point of view as management, looking at the players individually and their development and how the team's developing, from the club's point of view, managing the finances the best possible, and from the fans' point of view, getting as many points on the table and going up the table. So, you know, as you know, that's easy. That's what we do.
Thank you, Cal. Go to Will next. Will
Just
Reading.
check on where Nathan Patterson is, Sean, in terms of rehab, please.
Yeah, he's just coming back into the group to train, but obviously he's had an extended period out, so there's no expectation of him playing yet, but he's literally just crossing over to train with the group generally.
You said
First
that-
team group, that is.
You said after the press game you would like some more experience in. Obviously that will depend on the finances, but Amadou leaving, Andre Gomez leaving, only Tim coming in. Do you feel like you're a little bit light in midfield maybe?
Well, we've been light since I got here because we had to, you know, shift players. We had to move them on for the financial side. So I still think we're a little bit stretched as soon as we get 3 or 4 injuries. But that's the way it goes. That's the nature of the current situation. We want players to be flexible. We do feel we've got players who can play in other situations, other positions on the pitch. So I think we have got some flexibility, but we have got a limited number of bodies. So, you know, if we can affect things, we will do. If we can't, we can't.
Mason Holgate and Neil Moore player back from loan. Do you see a future at the club for them this season?
We'll see. We'll see. You know, it's at the moment it's really about playing. You know, who's playing well, who's training well. So them decisions will be made before the end of the window. They might be, they might not be.
Just finally, have you spoken to Farhad Mashiri at all, given the situation with the takeover? Or?
Yeah, nothing of any depth. Just, you know, messages and stuff like that. I'll probably see him soon or speak to him soon. But there's been nothing too much to report to him or me. Him to me or me to him. Really, just a few messages. Like that's what he does. That's standard for my time here. So I've got no problem with that.
Thank you, Will. Any more questions in the open section? Okay, great. We'll go on to the newspapers next.
Can't turn them lights.